Welcome back to another episode of Light Beer, Dark Money. I'm Sean Noble.
And I am Chris Clements.
And
we are, what day are we, Sean?
It's day
24, 25?
So this day 25.
The Kamala chameleon.
Kamala. Not doing an interview.
Kamala.
Now, she did apparently do about 2 minutes. She was here in Phoenix.
Oh, she did?
Yeah, she did.
That was last week.
That was last week. She did.
You know, I have a very liberal mother-in-law
questions.
who they were counting how many people were at the rally. I was getting these texts like, I think there's 15,000. I think there's 10,000. I think there's 20,000.
Well, I mean,
I'm like, you people are insane. Even at that doesn't beat Trump's rallies.
Well, look, I'm not
20,000 paid influencers.
I don't know if they're paid. Let's put it this way. She's definitely injected enthusiasm into the Democratic base.
Yes.
So she's going to draw large crowds. I mean, she's more exciting than Biden by 100 miles.
And yet Biden has done more press conferences in the last 24 days than Kamala Harris.
That is true. And that's
probably somewhat sentient press conferences. I mean,
yeah. You know,
halfway awake press conferences.
The issue is, I mean, it's obviously strategy on her part not to do press. And, you know, I think that their take on it is let's get through the convention, which is coming up next week, and then go from there.
Yeah.
And
how do you think that convention's going to go?
I think it's going to be interesting. Well, let's talk about the lineup of the convention. Did we do this last week?
No, we didn't. We haven't really talked about that.
So now keep in mind that there is a revisionist history happening about who Joe Biden is.
Well, there's a revisionist history happening about who Harris is as well.
Well, right, but let's focus on Biden because, you know, when he was the candidate, there was a lot of angst, there was a lot of hand wringing. There's like, is he up to the job? You know, can he beat Trump? You know, then the debate happens, people just freak out. And
that was purposeful. Remember, we're being punked.
Yeah, it was. Well, they clearly did it that early to give themselves some runway, unbeknownst to Joe Biden himself. And then the hand-wringing really happens, and then it's like he can't do this. He's not up to it. He's not smart enough. He's not cognitive enough. His policies don't work. Blah blah blah, and then he drops out. And all of a sudden, on a dime, everyone, the greatest hero of American history, Joe Biden is the savior who is sacrificing himself on the altar of democracy.
You've been watching way too much Morning Joe, I think. Because that's exactly what they're refrain
I have
for the last
never
several
watched
weeks.
Morning Joe, but I'm telling you that's...
Oh, come on, you've watched
I've
Joe.
Never watched Morning Joe.
You've never watched Morning Joe?
I've seen clips, but I don't watch TV.
Yeah.
Well, it's a waste of time.
It is a waste of time.
So...
It's worse than
the revisionist history is that this Joe Biden is this hero. I mean, Nancy Pelosi, seriously, not as a joke, but seriously on 60 Minutes told Leslie Stahl that Joe Biden deserved to be on Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, that was an amazing comment.
Are you freaking kidding me?
Well, and this is the woman.
Kidding me?
Well, but what was so ironic about that is that this is the woman who literally took out the blades and stabbed them deep into his back.
She was the person
along
who got
with
him out.
Who else?
Barack Obama.
Barack Obama.
And so
so if you want to know who's really run the country, it's not Joe Biden. No, he's shuffling into the bathroom.
The point here is that they took Joe Biden from this dawdling old man to this Mount Rushmore figure overnight because he did what they wanted. He got out of the way.
Yeah.
That's a short-lived...
whatever they promised him, he agreed to. Well, let's be clear.
Whatever. The point is they got what they wanted. They wanted him out because they realized that they were going to lose if he was the nominee. But so they praise him as this hero. They build him up. But the truth is, all you have to do, how much does he matter to the Democratic base, to the Democratic Party? Where's his speaking slot at the convention?
What's day one, isn't it?
Day one, when
Yeah,
nobody's paying attention.
Going to be paying
You
attention
put
to anybody.
the lowest
They'll be paying
level-
attention to the riots going on outside.
Yeah,
in the
I mean, you
streets
put
of
the
Chicago.
lowest level person Monday night. Nobody's really a convention. What? Thursday night's the nominee. Wednesday night's the vice presidential nominee. Tuesday's a marquee speaker.
Yes,
You know.
marquee celebrity night.
Celebrity night.
Yeah, for the Democrats for sure.
And Monday is the throwaway. They put President Joe Biden on Monday night.
Yeah.
With Hillary Clinton.
Oh, of course. Well,
Tuesday, their marquee night is Barack Obama. Wednesday, preceding Tim Walz, the vice president, they'll have former President Bill Clinton.
oh, Bill's
And
going to
then,
fire everybody up.
Yeah, and then on Thursday, it's the nominee. That's Kamala.
It's an amazing time to be an
So,
American.
so they literally have they're
bringing out the old show.
It is the old show, but it is.
I mean,
the point of what they're trying
from
to
that
do.
perspective, though, that's an interesting choice because I mean, one thing you have to say about the Republican convention and what Trump orchestrated is that you saw a lot of new faces, a lot of different faces, and that created a lot of buzz. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do in that regard. Because if you talk to me about Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton and Barack Obama, which we know they are the ones calling the shots in the White House, seems like they leave themselves open to a lot of different criticism.
But here's the one thing that it doesn't do: it doesn't tie them to Biden. It doesn't tie Kamala to Biden. She would
is
much
running
rather-
away from that as
would-
much as she can.
Exactly, which is why he's on Monday, and it's exactly why you have Obama and Clinton, two popular Democrat presidents who won re-election, going the two nights before she does. I mean, she wants to tie herself to Obama and Clinton way more. than she
Well, I
wants
mean,
to tie
from a
herself to
policy
her own
perspective,
president.
she is pulling the Clintonista, card right out of the hat. She's adopting, Republican
she's-
talking points
yeah.
and policies. The other day she declared that we should have a no taxes on tips.
No tax on tips.
Where did that come from? I don't know. Now, today or this week, when she announces her economic policy, I'm assuming there'll be no tax on Social Security benefits.
I mean, that
Where in the world would she get something like that?
she's just riffing off of Donald Trump.
I know. Now,
But,
all of
you know.
that being said, I think a lot of it's going to backfire.
How so?
Because I think the American people are smart enough and understand the world they've been living in the last 3 years, and that world is fully defined by Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And she can run away from those policies as much as she can, but she can't run away from history. She can't run away from the role that she played in the administration. And if the Trump presidency and his team are smart, they're going to do everything they can to tie her to that.
Yeah.
Because those policies and the results of those policies, going all the way back to, that fateful day in Afghanistan when he withdrew. And now, what did the Taliban do this week? Paraded through the streets of Afghanistan our equipment.
Yeah, of course they did. Of course they did.
A big middle finger to the taxpayers of America.
Well, I mean,
And
the
the
anniversary,
Trump
right?
campaign needs to replay that over and over and over again, along with Minnesota burning to tie her to what happened during the George Floyd riots and her running mate.
Yeah. So what do you attribute her rise to?
Well, first of all, it's the media and they're just blanket complete acceptance of her. I think it's also people just aren't paying attention right now. If you ask people, what do you think of Kamala? Oh, she seems nice. Yeah, she seemed like a nice person.
Nobody's giving it real
but
deep
20
thought.
something like 29, the vast majority of the people of the electorate do not agree in the direction of the country. So right now it's a honeymoon. She's not answering any questions to the media. She's not really doing anything. She's not doing anything to hurt herself because if she gets off the teleprompter, she's doomed.
Yeah.
So it's and it's not like anything that she's doing. She's orchestrating. It is all being orchestrated behind the scenes by the Obama people. She is simply a vehicle by which They are running. They are running for the presidency.
Yeah.
She has no original ideas of her own. She has no really sentient, mental capacity to express those ideas on her own. This is not her campaign. It's Obama's fourth campaign.
Yeah. Right.
Well, and we're being punked. We're being told this is the savior that is Harris, but really it's the Obama team that's running the show.
Well, it is, and they are in fact running the show. I mean, and that's the thing. So let me go to one, and then we'll go to the other. So one thing I want to do a quote from Mark Mellman. He was a pollster for John Kerry's presidential race, 2004, well-known Democrat operative in the polling world, and he said, with Kamala Harris, it's like A Star Is Born, the movie. It's not unreal, it's not unnatural, it's not fake, but it's not necessarily permanent. I can certainly imagine a situation where both candidates' favorabilities decline a little bit. So she's on a little bit of a sugar high.
Well,
as
but the intent, we've talked about this before, what is happening in the world isn't changing. So you have several hot wars. You could even include Taiwan in that, in terms of what China is doing right now, between Ukraine and Israel, and then what may or may happen in Taiwan. You've got an economy that inflation is slowing to a 2.9% increase. However, it's still not at the target, and inflation cumulatively over the last 3.5 years is 20 to 40%, depending on where you look. And so people's lives aren't getting any better.
But let me stop you there for 1 second, because this is such an important point. That I mean, it is amazing how much the Biden and Harris team is getting a pass from the media. Here is the lead story from Axios.
Oh, Axios
yesterday.
Is the worst.
Okay, yesterday afternoon.
No wonder they're laying off people.
Yesterday afternoon, their lead story, number one big thing: war on inflation has been won. I mean, it's like, and the title of the email sending this out is "Inflation is over." I mean, it's insane. And then if you read the story, it's like, oh, we won. Everything's fine. The economy's doing great. Now everyone can breathe a sigh of relief. I mean, it's like there's no recognition that the increases of prices have continued. They're not going down.
No.
They're just slowing down the amount of increase.
No.
It's insane that they're saying inflation is over. Are you freaking kidding me?
And Kamala Harris wants to convene the Congress in her first 100 days to pass a price gouging bill, because she understands how prices are set in the economy.
Yeah.
This is a woman who's never run a business, never met a payroll, has no clue, along with Joe Biden, as to really how the economy works.
No,
they think they can just wave a magic wand and all of a sudden all the money they've been throwing at the economy for the last 3 years is just going to evaporate and prices are going to moderate. It doesn't work that way.
It doesn't work that way. I mean,
it just doesn't work that way. If you ask a 13-year-old young man who happens to be my son, Preston, how does inflation work? Well, Dad, that's too much money chasing too few goods. My exact conversation 2 days ago. Elementary, junior high economics.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. It's just
that's too much money chasing too few goods. Dad, we learned that last year when I was in 7th grade.
Inflation has fallen below 3% for the first time since 2021. A clear sign that it's no longer the economy's biggest problem.
It is the economy's biggest problem because people still can't afford.
Because the prices have not come down.
No, and they're not going to come down.
They're still going up. They're just going up lower than 3% growth rate.
No.
That's still up.
Last time I checked, the Biden administration is not backing off on regulating the economy into the ground. No. The last time I checked, they're not backing off on trying to tax the economy into the ground. And also the last time I checked, our energy policy hasn't changed, which is a major component to prices.
Right.
And $7 gas in California ain't going to cut it.
Yeah. Well,
in terms of making people's lives affordable.
So she's gotten the honeymoon of the press coverage is, and it's worth billions and billions of dollars.
Sure.
I mean, no question about it. And they'll get the big splash of the national convention, and then there'll be the bump coming out of the convention. Labor Day happens. Then I think things settle a little bit. And what's interesting to me is
I'm always amazed at how polling totally switches after Labor Day in so many different parts of the country.
Yeah, because
it's one of those weird sort of anomalies, which when you're looking at polling a year ago, everyone's like, Trump is beating Biden. It's amazing. He's going to sail into the... I'm like, it's like December of 2023. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Don't talk about polling now.
Way too soon.
And yet whatever, and you know this probably better than anybody, so does like guys like Nate Silver who study this for a living, but something happens after Labor Day. Might have something to do with the fact that people start paying attention.
Well, that's exactly what it is. The average person is not crazy like we are, focused on this every single day, reading every process.
And let's clarify that. We are nuts.
Yeah, we are nuts.
We wake up every morning and what do?
We read about
we listen,
So here's
I have a dashboard on my computer right now that's got everything.
It's
crazy.
And so what you see, let's go right to the campaigns. So the Kamala campaign has picked up the best and the brightest of the Obama world.
Absolutely.
Right? So this is an Obama campaign.
Yeah,
as you point
absolutely
out.
is.
And they're doing a good job. I mean,
the Obama people and the former Clinton people who are still around are excellent.
Yeah, they are consummate professionals, and
we can say that because we recognize this is a contact sport. Yeah, it's about the team,
right?
And having the best team around you wins you the election.
And then Trump has Chris LaCivita, Susie Wiles, a group of people who are good at what they do, and yet they're flailing.
Yeah,
the campaign is flailing, and
they have been so
flailing.
Disciplined for so long.
And it's what is crazy to me, and we've talked about this before, is how they weren't prepared for Biden to leave the race. I mean,
which is unfathomable.
That should just be, a playbook sitting on the shelf. That's the title on the spine of the binder is Biden drops out.
Yeah.
Okay, open it up. All right, here's the categories. Biden drops out, Kamala gets anointed, or it's an open convention.
Or it's Obama, like a lot of people. Or it's a Gavin Newsom. Or you have the playbook for everyone.
Yeah, I mean,
you've already gamed it out.
But you can even, you
a year ago, you gamed it out.
And then you just go right at it. Okay, boom, here's where we go. Boom, 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 boom. But Trump has been all over the board, flailing. I don't know what to say about her. She's not Indian. She's not black. Her name's Kamala. I don't know what to... I mean, it's just been nuts. It's nuts. This is not...
And all he does is remind those persuadables of why they don't like him.
Exactly, because
he does.
Unhinged and can't be coherent about an attack on a policy. I mean, she's rich. It's a target-rich environment. It's a target-rich environment.
Oh, there's no doubt.
So the news today is they're bringing back some of the old members of the band. And so you have Corey Lewandowski coming back, friend of ours.
Listen, Corey... Okay. I'm not going to say anything about Corey. I actually like Corey a lot. I've had dinner with him several times, and he's a hoot.
He's a great guy. But it will be interesting to watch how this plays out because, Corey was involved in the first campaign and really didn't do much in the second campaign. And now he's coming back. And, LaCivita's statement was, we're as our campaign ramps up, we're putting, Trump loyalists around us to help us, blah, blah, blah. But look, that is not a way to show that you are, Trump is not saying, I'm super comfortable with my team.
Yeah.
If he's bringing people in senior advisor roles that are people who are
They're
for all
yes
intents and
men.
purposes,
They're yes men.
Well, they're yes men, but they're less experienced
Yeah.
in campaigning.
Yeah.
I mean, Corey's got a lot of experience, but not as much as Susie Wiles and Chris LaCivita. I mean, just by age,
Well, and I think what Susie and Chris did was inject that sense of discipline into the campaign that was sorely lacking the last campaign, and keep him on message and keep him on the straight and narrow. There's articles abounding around. One of the lead articles in National Review this week by Mark Antonio Wright is that, does Donald Trump know what time it is? And the byline is, Donald Trump is on track to lose the election. Is it impossible for him to turn things around? No, of course not. But the Trump campaign is behind. It's losing ground. It's running out of time. And it doesn't appear to have the nimbleness to adjust course and get back in the game. Anyone who doubts this has his head in the sand.
Wow.
And I don't think that's incorrect.
Yeah.
I don't think it's non-correctable.
Right.
I think it's right now the 15th of August. It's before Labor Day. You can begin to game play this strategy out between now and the election to win, because after they're done with their convention, you're going to have enough sound bites, enough things to run on against her in a way that's much more pronounced than what you have right now.
Right.
So if they're waiting to let the Democrats have their convention and they're game playing right now on different scenarios between now and the end, I will go back to, then that's a good thing. I will go back to one thing that there seems to be a growing consensus about that I mentioned in the podcast last week. Guess who's turned out to be a pretty reliable attack dog?
J.D. Vance.
J.D. Vance was on every show this past weekend. While the Harris campaign was on no show, they were
Right.
no show, and he did a tremendous job.
He has,
And so at least that is happening.
Yeah.
That has not turned out the way the Democrats thought it would, or what they were hoping to.
Right.
And meanwhile, the Harris campaign, I think, has a growing problem with their vice presidential nominee.
well,
I think he's going to be a drag on the ticket in ways that they did not play out, and that noise. Now, we cannot run against him. We're not running against Tim Walz. Period. However,
no, it's
his negatives are increasing.
well, it's not that we're running against him. We're running against Kamala, who is just as liberal, maybe more. It's just a validating point to what you're saying about Kamala. It's not like, oh, well, she'll be moderated because she picked, a
moderate.
a Shapiro or somebody else that was, that would have been a more moderate pick. But Tim Walz is just as liberal.
Yeah.
The
The stolen valor allegations are going to increase. He has not come up with a valid explanation for that. The burning of Minneapolis will be highlighted extensively. And all you really, a great ad, if anybody were to do an ad of that nature, is just to tie Harris to him in terms of what happened in Minneapolis.
Well, they're
Minnesota burning. This is what Kamala Harris wants to do to America.
This not only that, he allowed it to burn, and then she set up fundraising opportunities to raise money to bail these people
everybody out. You can run on that all day long.
That's one piece. I think that they need to run on. You need to run on their economic policies. They need to run on their inflationary policies.
They have no economic policy.
Well,
their economic
that's the
policy
point.
is
It's a disaster.
economically illiterate.
It's disaster.
Because, again, neither one of them have ever run a business. Apparently, Tim Walz has no money. He doesn't even play in the economy.
Well, he has a pension.
Okay.
He has a pension for being a teacher.
He's not even an active participant
Yeah.
in the American economy in any straight way or form. And then I think his activities in China are going to get an airing. And we're going to see what that was all about.
What did he do in China?
Well, he was teaching there at behest of the Chinese government
Is that
for
right?
a great number of years.
Okay.
He did in true Bernie Sanders fashion, he did his honeymoon in the People's Republic of China.
Really?
Just like Bernie Sanders did his honeymoon in the
Soviet
Soviet
Union.
Union. Now, that is not all just simply
You
explained
can take
away.
the boy out of communism, but you can't take the communism out of the boy.
And I think there's a growing understanding within Republicans that that's a very vulnerable piece of the equation.
Well, I mean,
And that needs to be exploited.
of course. Well, exploited, but it needs to be explained.
Is he a puppet for the regime? Of course he is. Of course he is. So,
And this is, but what's interesting about this is, I was not aware of this. I assumed that part of why Mark Kelly got passed over was because of his China problem,
this guy has
but he has it just as much.
Just as much. He taught there for years.
Mark Kelly just took a bunch of money from him.
He just took a bunch of money from him. Which, who's to say? I mean, that Tim Walz is not taking a bunch of money from him.
Yeah,
Who knows where that is?
yeah.
You don't just go over to China and just teach, social studies, just as a lark.
Well,
Let's just go over to communist China and
you
teach.
might. So, lots to expose on the liberalism, the extremism of Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, and that will continue to be exposed. I think that as voters get to know Kamala Harris and who she really is, that her polling will come down. Her favorables will start to come back down. She spiked up. They're going to level off a little bit. She's on the sugar high. And as we get into September, October, this is going to get interesting.
Yeah, I think so.
And
I think you're right.
And we talked about this last time. There's going to be some type of October surprise.
I still stand by what I think it is.
That he resigns.
I think Joe Biden resigns the presidency either for health issues
I don't
or
think I told you
issues
this.
or issues relating to his family scandals as well.
Yep.
I think those are going to get a much more public airing in the next month. You're already seeing that in different areas, and the press seems very compliant in that regard.
Well,
more so than usual.
But maybe not though, because that's a good point. Let me throw out one thing.
I'm just reporting what I'm seeing, the tea leaves.
My wife Alyssa, after our last episode, she's like, "Oh yeah, I've been believing for the last few weeks that he's going to resign in October."
See, I like Alyssa.
Like,
Alyssa, you and I read the tea leaves. We see what's happening.
But then somebody I can't remember who I was talking to. I wish I could remember so I can give them credit. They said, he's not going to resign. He's going to die.
There could be that too.
Because that's the ultimate. I mean, that's the he dies. She ascends the presidency because he dies. I mean, that's a JFK
you think
LBJ problem. They're going to kill him.
I think the CIA is going to secretly off him, just like they tried to off Donald Trump a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. What? It wasn't CIA.
Oh, FBI?
No. No. I'm not buying the conspiracies.
You know?
Nope.
Haven't heard much about the shooter, have we?
Well, he's dead.
Well, we haven't heard much about the shooter, have we? This
whole thing has gone quiet.
Yeah, the whole thing has gone quiet. So there's more there.
Well, I don't know if there's more there as much as there's just
what's
nobody
there,
wants to remind. I mean, here's what I think's going on.
But the whole
is
thing's
the
gone
press doesn't want to talk about the assassination attempt because that makes Trump look good.
Well,
I mean, they're literally doing everything they can. I mean, this is
it is
an
Pravda
embarrassment.
squared.
This is an embarrassment by the media.
But you're seeing the media is most Americans now don't get their news from the mainstream media. It continues to decline. It continues to be more and more irrelevant. So we'll see what effect that has.
Yeah.
So I think the refrain that she hasn't done a major interview in 24 weeks, 24 days.
Yeah.
And she really has her policy proposals are being stolen from Trump. That all gets echoed in the chamber, and it's going to continue to gain traction.
Yeah. Well, so Biden didn't, speaking of Biden doing an interview, he did an interview and he was asked, why did you drop out? And it was the first time he said pretty clearly, well, there are people, the Democrat leaders came to me and said that they worried that I was going to impact their ability to hold the House and the Senate. So I dropped out. So he's admitting that, it had nothing to do with anything other than I just wasn't up to the task politically.
I was going to be a drag on the ticket.
So then Politico...
But he mentioned Nancy Pelosi by name.
Yes.
Which is amazing.
So Politico yesterday writes a story. President Joe Biden is frustrated that Barack Obama wouldn't tell him to his face that he should leave the race. He's angry with Nancy Pelosi and her views and views her as ruthless for ushering him out the door. And he's still miffed at the role Chuck Schumer played, too.
Well, there you have it.
Biden has told his closest aides and associates that he's coming to terms with his decision to bow out of the presidential race last month, but still harbors some frustration toward the members of his own party he believes pushed him out, according to 3 people familiar with Biden's thinking.
So, going back to our October surprise, maybe your theory is correct. If he's not going to leave the presidency willingly, then he's going to have to leave unwillingly.
Yeah,
if that's all part of the plot.
If she's down in the polls in the beginning part of October, and Trump is building momentum,
down in the polls, even if they're still within the margin of error, or she's a down 1 to 2 in some swing states, that's a cause for concern. The one thing, all this free media that she's gotten over the last 24 days, and it's still within the margin of error in many areas.
Yes.
So she's had this nice upswing, but she's not up by 10 points.
No.
She's not up by 9 points that Biden was at this point in the race.
That's the
4
thing
years
that people
ago.
need to remember is that...
the Trump voter now, I think, is like, okay, I'm not talking.
Maybe. But the thing to remember is that Trump never led in 2016, and he never led in 2020. He won 2016. He lost 2020 narrowly. So he doesn't have to be leading in these polls to end up winning. We know that there's a silent Trump voter. So if this is close, or if he looks like he's gaining some momentum, Biden better look out. Because it is obvious.
My gosh.
It is crystal clear that the Democrats will do whatever it takes to win.
Yeah.
And that means offing the President of the United States. They will do it. I'm now convinced of it.
Well, there was something that happened in 1963.
Yep.
And a lot of people think that was the CIA.
I do.
Yeah, I know you do. And
I absolutely do.
Yeah. And I'm not disagreeing with you.
Horrific.
Yeah.
So it's I'll reiterate, even though I have some frustrations with him, we have to vote for Trump to fix this problem.
I can't believe I'm hearing this,
I know.
ladies and gentlemen. We've been pretty blunt about our issues.
I do
with Trump.
worry about the country. I'm worried about the country if Kamala wins.
Oh my! Well, just her running mate alone. You can put lipstick on that cat and try to make it a dog. But he scares me more than anything.
Well,
because he's the biggest phony and fraud
Yeah, but he's the vice president, so that doesn't. But she scares me.
But because there are vice presidents that can be extremely influential, extremely consequential within the administration. I think Mike Pence was a consequential vice president.
That's true.
In terms of policy development and implementation within the Congress. He led that charge. Dick Cheney.
Yep.
Obviously, from a foreign policy standpoint and military execution standpoint, pretty consequential.
Right.
Turns out LBJ was pretty consequential too.
But there was also very inconsequential.
Yes.
Al Gore.
Al Gore.
Joe Biden.
Never underestimate Joe Biden's ability to F things up. Didn't say the word, Mom.
Yeah, right.
We're just repeating what Barack Obama has said several times. And which is why Barack Obama has done what he's done. Because Joe Biden's F-ups were getting too much for him to put up with.
Yeah.
Those 2 miles away from the White House. Right. And all his people, including Kamala, were reporting back to him, this is what we got to do.
And this was something I wanted to bring up because you mentioned it about the scandals in the family.
Well, I think those are going to
Did you see that the State Department has now released information that Hunter had contacted the ambassador to Italy?
Yeah, about the Burisma stuff.
Assistance on Burisma, the Ukrainian company that he was on the board of.
Yes.
Being paid hundreds of thousands of dollars a
month
to participate in.
Wow. Echo.
And so there's still more to be exposed in that regard.
Yeah, I just think that's going to accelerate. The fact that that's one of the lead articles this week. Hunter Biden's back in the news again, and on all platforms. So I think that's going to accelerate. It's going to be all part of the plan of either he's going to leave, or I mean, to your point, maybe something more dark and sinister happens.
Well, it also then portends the question is, does Joe Biden, does he pardon him?
Well, I don't think Joe Biden leaves the presidency if he has to leave the presidency, or if he's convinced to leave the presidency, or the big bucket, truck of $100 million pulls up to the White House and says, jump in. And then he has no other choice because that's now his legacy. I think he pardons the whole Biden cabal.
Interesting.
Jim
why
Biden,
wouldn't he?
Hunter Biden.
I mean, what difference does it make at this point? I mean, it's not going to impact
all
the election.
All of them who received any type of payment from China or Russia or Burisma or wherever else.
I think you're right.
He's going to pardon all of them. Because as private citizens, the government, if Trump is elected, could certainly go after them.
Sure.
And probably would.
Should.
Yeah. Hey.
They should. Okay.
Revenge is a dish best served cold.
So we talked a little bit about the Olympics last time. They've had the closing ceremony. I don't know if you saw it. My daughter watched it and then ended up having nightmares. Because there's this dystopian, the world without the Olympics thing. And, she didn't watch the whole thing. And I didn't do enough to explain, this is what you're seeing.
Yes. And the two men boxers won.
All I cared about was her being able to see Tom Cruise rappel from the top of the stadium into the stadium, get the flag, take it out on the motorcycle. I mean, that was pretty cool. I'm a Mission Impossible fan.
I like Tom Cruise. I think he's kind of, his personal life is strange and kind of unhinged. But I.
What actors? Is it?
But I love Top Gun, and I do love all the Mission Impossible movies.
And look, man, if I look,
I went on like a total MI binge like last summer, I think it was, and I literally sat and watched every single.
I think I need to do that. But the guy looks amazing.
For 62?
Something like that. He's well older than that. It's like, I mean, clearly dyeing his hair, but
he has a lot of work done, I'm sure.
Well, look.
But he's in great shape, and he's an American icon, and having Tom Cruise do that at the French Olympics, kind of pretending to launching it to Los Angeles in 2028 was, I thought, really cool.
Yeah.
It was a better way to end the Olympics than how they began.
That's exactly right. They had their little dystopian moment.
They began with the Antichrist, and they ended with someone who's got his own God complexes.
Right.
Which is great. That's fine.
And then the only thing that really happened, I mean, there's obviously the men's basketball and the women's basketball won.
Women's basketball won by 1 point.
Yeah, that was.
And the men's,
close.
I mean, congratulations to former U of A Wildcat Steve Kerr. Probably is he now the winningest player coach?
He might be
ever.
He might be.
I think he has to be
Yeah.
between as a player, as a coach, coaching the Olympics. I mean, it's pretty incredible.
Yeah. And Steph Curry, man, talk about throwing the bombs in that last game.
That was nice to see because there's a lot of people. I mean, I'm not a big NBA fan, but I think Steph Curry has been the MVP now for 10 years.
Yeah.
And
been awesome.
much better player than LeBron.
What?
Completely.
No. LeBron.
Less selfish. He's listen.
Look, Steph is awesome.
In the historical books, Curry should be up there in that top 5 list with those guys.
Even though LeBron James is the leading scorer of all time.
Well, I mean, MJ is still the greatest player ever.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
No, don't even go there. Not even worth it.
I've started to. LeBron's got game, man. I'm telling you,
Not even worth
the
it.
king. So, that
congrats to
was
Steve
greatness. That was greatness. What was not greatness was watching an Australian breakdancer named Reagan.
So
my
I wasn't really
God.
paying attention until kind of after all that, and then watched those videos of this person who kind of snuck her way into the Olympics.
I don't know
in
how
some
she
weird
got there,
sort of
but-
way. But you know what? 15 seconds of fame, whatever. It's
I mean, there's 15 seconds of fame, and
but
then
it goes
there's
it goes
just
back to what we were talking
pure
about last week.
humiliation.
Breakdancing, Olympics, no. Table tennis, no. I mean, no.
Lacrosse,
No,
no.
lacrosse, absolutely. Lacrosse, 200 years.
Hey,
know.
breakdancing's been around since I don't know.
It is not an Olympic sport. Come on.
Well, but the guys who actually do it well.
I watched a lot of table tennis for whatever reason. It was always on.
The guys
I
who
was like,
do
what the heck?
breakdancing well, guys and girls, it is amazing.
That wasn't one of them.
She was not one. And my only question was, does she not have anyone in her life who loves her enough to say, hey,
You don't.
maybe this
have
isn't a good idea.
Yeah.
Maybe this isn't a good idea. Because my daughter Reagan, not Reagan, but Reagan, would have done better than that.
Well, I think.
And she's 5 years old.
I think either one of us would have. We could have been Olympic
I'm
champions.
not sure I could have. I mean, I did dabble in breakdancing when I was in high school.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, there you go.
But
I did not, but I could do the thing
Well,
that she did.
I don't know what that was, but it wasn't breakdancing. So it was
Whatever
just
that was, you and I could do it.
flopping around.
We
on
would
the
be
floor.
at the Olympics. We
Well,
would
I'm
be
not sure I
Olympic
could flop around on the
competitors.
floor like that. I mean, I might get hurt. I'm getting older.
We both are getting old. It's hard.
I can't flop around on the floor.
My wife was getting after me about getting
I'll
up at 4
bet-
in the morning, and she's like, "Why do you get up so early? Why do you sleep?" I'm like, "I can't sleep. I'm old.
Yeah,
I just got to get up."
I
and
would
get
bet
going."
that there's moves that she did that I couldn't do,
Yeah,
but
No,
it was
I get
still
that.
terrible.
I know.
It was still terrible.
Well, and then, what do you think is going to happen for the 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles? Think they'll clean up the town?
I do. And I know that they can because you saw how spotless they made San Francisco.
When the Chinese
premier
premiere?
Chinese came. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they can definitely clean it up.
Well, my understanding is that Gavin Newsom is on it. He's getting ready for it.
Well, I've seen him. I've seen
He's
videos of him
up
cleaning up
L.A.
homeless encampments. He's in there getting it done himself
amazing.
because he's tired of L.A. not making it happen.
I'm going to be in L.A. in first part of September. I'll check it out for you.
Yeah.
See what they're doing.
Go see.
Because the last time I was there, it didn't look too good.
Well, look, it's going
It
to
was
take some
pretty
time.
bad.
So they should start now. They've got 4 years.
Yeah,
they should
absolutely.
start now. All right. Well,
any predictions for what may disrupt the Democratic National Convention next week? I hear there's at least 5, 6 pro-Palestinian protests.
yeah,
planned?
there's at least. I mean, that's how many permits have been pulled.
Yeah.
And
not one
for. They
pro-Israel.
denied the permits for the Israel supporters.
Could we be seeing Chicago burning next week?
Look. There's so many parallels this year to 1968 that and the thing that's interesting is that as late or as long ago as last year, we were talking about the Democrat convention in Chicago being a shit show.
Yeah.
And the amount of stuff that's happened between, I mean, we thought that was going to be like the big event of the summer, right? And there's been so much that's happened. We've literally had massive historical things happen in the last 2 months. So, yeah, I think anything's possible at this point. And it's going to be crazy.
We'll be watching.
We'll be watching. And so next time we're back, we'll have some stuff to report about what's going on with the convention because, we'll be in the middle of it and we'll be able to preview.
So what Joe Biden are we going to get on Monday? Dark Brandon, or are we going to get
it's going to
debate Brandon?
It's going to be somewhere in between, and it's going to be a short speech.
I think it'll be Dark Brandon. I think he's going to come out and be mad.
Oh, well, he is mad.
Yeah.
As we've pointed out from there.
Those
wants
intangibles,
he
like
wants
I said,
his pound of flesh.
are not going to change.
That's true. That's
between
good
now and
point.
November 5th. And people will start paying attention, and you're going to see the crazy cat lady, Kamala, not have so much sheen.
The shine is
the
coming
shine,
off.
the nice,
the gloss
shiny exterior will fade.
All righty. Well, more to come.
All right. God bless.
Talk
Thank
to you
you for
later.
listening.